Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is not sponsored by EA, but I have received some of the pack codes for free in the past. Today we are doing a Sims 4 speed build, and this one is a real fixer-upper, let me tell ya. So since the werewolf pack has come out, I've been doing more and more of these sort of grunge, rundown, abandoned aesthetic homes. And it's getting easier and easier. They're adding more and more stuff in as time goes on. I think we could use more, specifically in doors and windows. I think we could use a lot more stuff, but it is getting easier and easier to do this sort of grungy, rundown look. And I have fun doing it. But typically, when I'm doing these sort of houses, I am giving the appearance or the aesthetic of being grungy and rundown, while giving your Sims the experience of having a comfortable home to live in where they can fulfill all of their needs. This is not that type of house. This will not only give you the aesthetic experience, but like your Sims will have the actual lived experience of a nearly condemnable house. And they will not survive long in this house. This house is not meant for Sims to live in. Unlike my other homes, this one was specifically built with the purposes of either being like abandoned lot somewhere in your town that, you know, if you have a storyline where teen Sims are breaking into this old house and destroying stuff or whatever, you know, something like that. Part of a story, part of a backdrop, something along those lines. Not meant to be used or lived in other than to further destroy, if you so choose. But also, I built it with this idea in mind that it's fun to take old, rundown houses and try to make them new and fresh again. And for me, I enjoy not only the creative, artistic outlet of making a rundown house look fresh and new again. I also enjoy the artistic puzzle of maybe changing the style a little bit. Not necessarily trying to cover up or get rid of the style of the original house, but working within that original style of that house, but like maybe modernizing it a little bit, or taking an overly modern house, but maybe something that is like 80s or 90s modern, and traditionalizing it a little bit, but in a more contemporary sense. So still very much freshening it up for, you know, more modern times, but maybe adding a little twist to the style or changing the style slightly. I also enjoy the puzzle of trying to figure out how to use a house without major structural changes. Now, I personally don't feel like changing windows or doors is big or structural. I don't necessarily see tearing out some walls or parts of some walls as being majorly structural. As long as you don't have to build a massive header, that would be a structural thing that you would have to take care of. But aside from those types of things, trying to use the house more or less as is, with maybe minor changes to close in a doorway or move a doorway, but not that it affects the structure in any way. That sort of thing. I love the puzzle of it. I love working out. If you take my recent house that I did, the house that I saw on a like realtor type website where you can buy houses or whatever, I took a not terribly old. I'm gonna say it was probably built sometime between the 60s and the 80s. And it was weird. It was weirdly set up. It did look like it had been added onto at some point. So maybe the original was built like around the 50s or 60s, and then the add-on was probably put in there around the 80s or so from the looks of it. Anyways, I don't think that I did any major structural changes. No, I didn't make any structural changes to that. I moved a single doorway that led outside, and I just took that doorway out and I put a doorway into a kind of external sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, closet space, a storage space that was kind of part of the house but was not accessible from within the house. You had to go out to the carport to get into it. I just put a doorway into that space and made it a laundry room if it wasn't already a laundry room, so that it could act as also a mudroom from the carport into the house. Does that make sense? If you go back and check my Florida video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the original house, the dining room was right next to the kitchen between two, essentially it was described as a living room and a family room, and I thought that's dumb. That dining room is too tiny to be comfortable. I really dislike those old 80s houses, or even 90s in some cases, where the kitchen and the dining room are basically the size of a bedroom. A small bedroom at that, and you have to try to fit a big dining table, and dining tables generally are not that small, so you have to try to fit a big dining table in a small walk-in closet space, and I hate that when those types of houses that are like that. Also, do people really need a living room and a family room? I know a lot of people in the US think they need a living room and a family room. I disagree, but maybe it's just because I only have one child. We are a 3-person family, and that is it. We do have 2 dogs. We have in the past had 2 dogs and 2 cats at one time. We've had 2 cats and a dog. We've had 2 dogs and a cat. We've had a cat, 2 dogs, and 5 fish. Like, we've had lots of combinations of pets, but we've only ever been a 2 or 3 human family, so we haven't needed that much space. But in the case of that Florida house, the family room was massive, the living room was a decent size, and the dining room was small, like teeny tiny closet size. So I thought, why? Like, if I was renovating and building this for me, why would I have 2 living rooms? I wouldn't need 2 living rooms. Let's make the small front living room a dining room instead. That did not require any structural changes whatsoever. None. 0. And it was fun to figure that out and set it up and make it not look weirdly like there were big empty open spaces between the kitchen and the new dining room and the family room, where a very tight, small, tiny dining room should have been. It was fun to puzzle that out and work it out and change those rooms around so that they worked more for us rather than us working for the rooms. You know what I mean? And who needs a living room that never gets used? Ridiculous. No, not even. And for the 3 of us, we don't need 2 bathrooms. Technically, that house had 2 bathrooms, but all the fixtures were ripped out of the second bathroom. I mean, if it was more cost effective to just put the bathroom fixtures back into that, we may have done that. But if it would have been fine to just cap off and close up all of those bathroom fixtures and redo the flooring and the walls, and it would have been cheaper, I could have easily turned that room into a small office, and we would have had almost, what, 4 bedrooms in that house, because there was a closet back there as well. So, you know, you can do little things like that without major structural changes. Anyways, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I would count this as a hobby, trying to take old houses and creatively, artistically puzzle out how best to fix them up and use them and make them fresh and new, maybe modernized or whatever. And that's my hobby. I enjoy doing that. And I know there are other people out there that enjoy doing that as well. And when I built that Florida house, I kind of started to be like, you know, this might be fun to build these houses in their like a before version and then do the after version as well. I did think about that with that Florida house, but the video got to be too long. I was gonna do a sort of rundown-ish, sort of before my changes, what the house kind of roughly looked like. According to the realtor pictures, but the video ran too long. But anyways, I thought that would be fun for other people to do. I know there's gotta be other people out there that like that, not just me. So I thought, you know, it'd be fun to do the before version. And then I got looking at that lot in Nordhaven, sorry, that is kind of a broken, rundown kind of lot. And it needs to be, it looks like a construction zone almost. I forget what it's called, but it came with businesses and hobbies, and it needs work. It needs construction. And they have all that construction stuff and whatnot. And then I was thinking, you know, yeah, this might be something people really like. And then I was building that town, that row houses build for Forgotten Hollow for my all-pack save file. And I had to go through and delete all of the vampire scratches and holes and cracks on the walls and everything. And I'm like, yep, I need to do a fixer-upper build. I need to make a build that is just completely trashed, and then either I or other people can go back later and fix it up and bring it back to life and make it look new and fresh again. And you know, I might actually do that. It won't be right away because I have a whole bunch of videos already done, planned for, and everything else. But maybe in June, I will take this house and try to fix it up and make it look fresh and new without doing any like major, or not any too much major structural changes. So basically I'd be more or less leaving walls where they are at, but maybe opening doorways a little bit or something like that, and then just going through and getting rid of all the filth and the holes in the walls and the cobwebs and the old broken down furniture, and trying to make it a fresh, new looking house and fix it up. It could be fun, right? I could also do it on live stream if people would like to see it on a live stream. That could be fun too, right? But yeah, I'd also really, really love to see how other people would do it as well. I'd love to see other people's takes on maybe fixing up and freshening up this house without doing too much structural change to it. Kind of a little bit like a shell challenge, but like you can't change any of the inside walls too much either. You know what I mean? No major construction, just sprucing it up. You can change the windows and doors though, because I don't see changing out windows and doors as major construction. I've seen windows and doorways and stuff built, and as long as there's no plumbing or electrical around your windows, it's easy to take out a window and make it slightly taller or shorter and just replace the siding and the drywall inside. It's really not that hard. It does cost a bit of money in real life, whereas in The Sims, it's not quite as expensive to change out windows unless you go with really expensive versus cheap windows. But the work involved is really not that terribly much, at least not from what I've experienced in my life changing out windows, or rather watching other people change out windows, because me in construction, that's funny. I'd probably hurt somebody. But yeah. Anyways, I just thought it would be fun. And if you really want to torture your Sims, I guess you can go ahead and use the lot as is. Although there are two versions of this lot uploaded. The first is, as you'll see it at the end of the speed build portion of this. The second version, the even grosser version, I had a Sim living here, dirtying up counters and toilets and showers, and allowing mold to grow and leaving dirty dishes everywhere, and rotten food everywhere. And then I also added a bunch of cobwebs to that storage room there to make it even grosser. So there are two versions of it on the gallery by the time you're seeing this video, because I did decide that it needed more. Specifically in the case of the mold, I wanted the mold to start growing, and I wanted there to be, oh, there's also a broken fridge. So the fridge is broken, some of the counters are a little bit dirty, one of the toilets is really filthy. I wanted it to be that next level extra. What I really wanted was for the mold to like really grow in and fill in a bunch of areas. And I wanted all, I think the neighbors are mowing again. I swear they mow every other day. That poor grass. Anyways, I wanted it to be really, truly filthy, but my Sim was dying, and if I waited even one more day, she would have been dead. So I thought, you know what, this is moldy enough, I guess. This is fine. I did get some, it took a while, but I did get some mold to finally start growing upstairs. For some reason, while I was playing, I could only get the mold to grow downstairs for the longest time. It wasn't until right before my Sim died and I had her clean up a pile of mold in the living room that I was able to get some mold to grow upstairs in the upstairs hallway area. So you'll see that in a minute. But you know, now that I've been talking about it, and now that it's been a little bit since I actually built this, not much, it's only been a few days, but still, it's been a little bit since I actually built this, I kind of want to go back and fix it up now. I mean, it is a fixer-upper. The whole point was to make it for fixing up. Also, you saw me add off the grid to this. Originally, I was going to have it off the grid and not have the electrical work, but then I changed my mind and went back and took that off, because I was going to go in and have some of the lights flicker and stuff, but the lights that I chose don't do the flickering thing. So there are two lamps. I think they're from the Basement Treasures or something like that kit that flicker. So that was pretty awesome to have. But other than that, I just used really ugly light fixtures to fill it in. And here we are at the walkthrough finally. It's kind of dark because at this point it was fall and it was a rainy day, and so you get an even dingier, darker look at the house. Also, I toned down the intensity of some of the lights to make them look like they were going bad or partially burnt out or whatever, you know. Like maybe it has 3 bulbs in it and only one of the bulbs is lit up type of deal. But here you can see what it's like after my sim has lived in it for a little bit. There's mold growing on the floor. I thought the one that grew on the newspapers was an absolute perfect position in there. Having grown on the newspapers and stuff, I thought that was awesome. There's the broken down fridge, the dirty countertops, the molding food, the mold on the floor, all the stains. Yeah, it's pretty grungy looking. There's lots of spider webs. Like I said, it wasn't meant to be lived in. It's meant to be trashed, and it's meant for you to come back in and fix up. So it's meant to look extra, especially deadly and bad. I'm just glad I got a little bit of mold to grow in this hallway up here, finally. And then here's the little bedroom. Not too terribly shabby, but shabby enough. And then we just have the storage room. The lights are not working as well, so this is one of the dimmer rooms. And then we have the final dirty, filthy upstairs bathroom. Funny story, my sim peed herself twice in this bathroom. So there were also pee puddles in here. So probably once you start it up, mold will grow in there immediately because she didn't clean it up after she peed herself. So there you have it. I hope you enjoy. I hope you fix it up. And if you like this video, if you like my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.